Hey guys, it's GrizzlyGo here, and after a small hiatus, I am back to announce a new series called Counters and Collaborations. In this series, we will go over all of the operators' primary and secondary gadgets in the game, identifying what they counter and what they collaborate with by assembling a diagram and as well as by going to a bit more detail showing some examples via gameplay. My goal of this series is to educate intermediate to beginner players in the game about some of the more common and realistic interactions between different operators and gadgets in the game. Let's go over how a typical one of these videos would go. Let's pull up the graphic. So, started off, we have our subject operator, in this case, Maestro, in the middle. Then there is a key to the right of the operator's icon, showing what each of these lines mean. Now, the key may explain what each line means, but it does not explain what each of the words mean. So, allow me to explain so you understand where I come from when I put these lines where I do. We have 4 different terms to define here. We have hard counter, soft counter, direct counter or collaboration, and indirect counter or collaboration. Starting off with our hard and soft counters, a hard counter in this series means that the subject operator's gadget either destroys or completely negates the other operator's ability, while soft counters only impede or alter the opposing operator's gadget. So, for example, Jaeger would be a hard counter to Nomad because he completely destroys her gadget, while on the other hand, Omai is a soft counter to Gridlock since her gadget still deploys. It might have been altered from Gridlock's original intention, but it still activates nonetheless. Now, on the other side of the coin, we have our direct and indirect counters and collaborations. When an operator is defined to have a direct link to another operator, it means that it was intentional for that situation. So, for example, on the counter side of the coin, you would take mute if the opposing team would be inclined to take a hard breacher like Habana or Thermite, because as a defender, you expect that. A direct collaboration example would be something like Capcan and Goyo, since Capcan traps detonate Goyo shields. Moving on to our indirect counters and collaborations, these are situations that pick unintentionally helps in that situation. For example, Vigil is an indirect counter to Dokubi because when you select Vigil, you don't pick him to counter Dokubi. You pick him to counter other gadgets. It just so happens to be that the stars align for you and your gadget helps you out in the situation. A collaboration example of this would be for someone like Maestro and Doc. If Doc is alone and is very low health but is near one of Maestro's evil eyes, Maestro can down Doc and then Doc can gain 75 health with one stem shot, even though nobody was near to reset Doc. So, in quick recap, hard counters are complete negations, soft counters are impediments, direct counters and collaborations are intentional picks, while indirect counters and collaborations are unintentional situational luck. Now, with this information we just learned, you now understand the true meaning of these lines. The red equals hard counter, the yellow equals soft counter, while the dashed line means indirect and the filled line means direct. So, now that we understand how to read the diagram, let's continue on how a typical one of these videos would go. We go in order from top to bottom on the keys, so we'd begin with hard and direct counters, or hard and indirect counters, and so on and so forth. The top of the graph is reserved for counters, while the bottom is reserved for collaborations, for organizational purposes. When revealing each of these categories and interactions, on some of them I might play a gameplay clip demonstrating the reasoning as to why I put them there. Now, I understand that not literally every single person is going to see my graphs through my videos. I would not be surprised if at least some people put this on Reddit. So I put in pink text on those lines a brief reasoning for that grouping that I chose, because some operators like Capitao, Zofia, and Maestro, and much more have more than one ability. But I want to say something very important before I close this video. I just want you guys to remember this word: subjective. All of my graphs for the most part are subjective. Although I'll still get some forms of hate for sure, since it's one of the most toxic games in the market, I still want to help and benefit the community, since this game has done so much for me back. But subjectivity is just part of the game. People have their own beliefs and styles of playing the game, and I feel that I'm at least somewhat credible enough for playing this game since beta and maintaining a relatively good rank. I feel bad for those players that have to come to this game brand new and they have to learn how over 50 operators and 10 secondary gadgets all interact with each other. So while I might not be perfect with these, I tried my best. I have quadruple checked these gadgets and operators for over the period of a month. But even then, I still make mistakes. I'm human too, so if you disagree or notice some sort of mistake, please comment on it. I read all of the comments on my videos, so if you have any constructive criticism or words, just let me know. I'll leave any corrected information in the pinned comment of every video. And if I make any grave mistakes, I will remake the entire video to make sure it's as accurate as possible. So now, you might be asking, why would I go through all this trouble if these diagrams like mine already exist? Well, the main reason I decided to go ahead and make this whole series is because there just really isn't any great graphics that are easy to read. Well, at least in my opinion. I mean, we have examples like these which aren't bad, like this website, which is very well made, but will newer learning players use this and retain information from it? The most common thing I see with these graphics is that they're just so hard to read. And while I know it won't be possible to make a perfect diagram for everybody, we can at least try. Hopefully, doing this process an operator at a time is more helpful and informative for newer and more intermediate players. This is one of the most difficult games to learn, especially now, with over 50 operators. It made learning the game back when there was only 20 operators look like it was nothing. Personally, I want this game to grow, and I want the people to learn it and enjoy it the way it should be played, with coordination and teamwork. If you came from one of my videos in the series and made it this far, it means the world to me, and thank you so much for taking my word. But with all that being said, I hope you're excited as I am, and it's great to be back.